Hey y'all, it's Jack and I'm here doing my second YouTube video all about knitting, I guess. If you all want me to talk about more stuff like my sewing and my trail running stuff, just let me know in the comments. I honestly was surprised at the response on Instagram when I asked if people wanted me to make a YouTube channel, and they said yes and voted for like the fiber arts knitting stuff. So I'm here. I'm still learning. I would also ask you if you have recommendations for like beginner video editing classes like on Udemy, or software for video editing, to drop those recommendations in the comments too. Because honestly, other than like the built-in stuff on Instagram, I have not like edited videos since high school, and that was a very long time ago, and you had to like do it on a desktop computer, which tells you how old I am. Shh, don't tell. Anyway, welcome! We're gonna talk about how much knitting I got done this week. I feel like it was a really heavy knitting week, like a lot of knitting got done, and I'm not sure if this is typical because it's the first time I've actually tracked like all of my knitting during a week. As a recap, last week we went through my stash to find out how many skeins I have after setting a goal to get my stash down to 50 skeins, and we ended up with 54 skeins of yarn currently in stash. I am now allowed to buy yarn, which I have been doing. I ordered an advent and I bought yarn for my child's Christmas sweater. I am very, very tempted by the Fangirl Fibers Dungeon Crawler Carl collection pre-order that they've released, and my child really wants some Mongo is Appalled socks. So I'm on the fence about that. We're gonna find out. For those of you that don't know me, I love making goals and I love pursuing goals. So I set some goals for the week. My first goal of the week was to finish an Advent sweater. I'm gonna show it to you now because I did finish it. I finished it. This is the Advent, I think it's called Advent 2020 by Helen's Knithouse. It is a sweater that was specifically written as to be used for an Advent yarn. So this is the sweater. It has not been washed yet. So I can show you, like, I still have to double check like the ends if they've been woven in. Generally, I try to weave in my ends as I knit, but I really wanted to get this sweater done because that meant I would have moved out. I think it ended up being 22 yarns because I didn't use every color. This was an Advent by a chick that knits a couple years ago because I haven't bought yarn in almost a year and a half. It was called the Dark Romance Advent, and I just loved the colors. These are the ones I picked for the front, and I tried to kind of coordinate. So here's where the front meets the back. So those are like, they're different colors on the front and the back, but I tried to get them to coordinate. This one didn't really to coordinate. And I loved the main color. It's this really nice blue, dark blue. I also learned how to do the tubular bind off for this. That's like a secondary goal or a thing that I have in the back of my head, is to try to be learning new techniques and stuff. So for this one, I learned tubular bind off. I was knit influenced by the Nitty Natty YouTube channel. She was showing the tubular bind off. I had heard of it, but I had never seen it. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to learn that. I even did it on the bottom hem, which was over 200 stitches. And a lot of the tutorials that I used said to only use it for small things like sleeves and collars, but I needed it to get into my brain. And so I did it on the bottom hem. So I did meet that goal. I still have some of the main color left. And, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump you guys. I took the opportunity to use my new Nitty Naughty. It's from Rebel Stitchers, which is local to Tennessee. I had 13 grams left, and when I counted this, I think it was like 40 something yards. I had an idea in my head to use this yarn for, and I don't know if it's gonna work, so I'm gonna have to think and experiment. I want to make another sweater with like this detail where there's the contrast color and then these beautiful eyelets. I don't have enough to do this same pattern again though. So I'm just gonna have to look and research and figure some stuff out. Plus it was really fun to get out the Nitty Naughty, and these might end up just being in a socks. I feel like I'm gonna end up with a pair of socks that were just, I loved this yarn, I couldn't get rid of it, so I needed to use it for something. Okay, so we are going to start looking at our projects. I'm gonna start off with this project. This is, I finished making all the granny squares for a Jethro by Tanis Lavallee. I had a vision. You guys are going to hear this a lot. I had a vision, and I went to the local yarn store, and they didn't have the contrast color of yarn that I wanted. So I asked them to order it for me, and it's going to come with their fall bulk order, which is happening. I think they're putting in the order this month, and so it will come in the next, next 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully. So I just wanted to show off my beautiful squares. It is from Brianna Lupino at the Little Wolf Knits. My Job is Yarn, a July Advent. And this is just going to be hibernating until that yarn gets here, and then you guys will see it again, and I'm really excited about it. My next one is, this is Captain Worm's hat. Do you guys want to meet Captain Worm? Hang on, let me go find Captain Worm. Okay, I got Captain Worm. I also turned the light on to see if that helps. Like, guys, I'm learning. I'll get there. This is Captain Worm. Captain Worm is a stuffy. Stuffies are a big part of our life. And my child went to sleepaway camp this summer, and this is the souvenir that they chose for themselves. And they named it Captain Worm after one of the camp counselors. And the child got this yarn in a yarn exchange, and I asked them what they wanted me to make out of it, or if I should give it away or sell it. And they said, can you make Captain Worm a hat? So this is Captain Worm's hat. Captain Worm's hat, last week I said I wanted to use the whole skein for it. I'm tired. I have a lot of projects like in process right now, and I have deliberately tried over the last year to not let that happen, to like only have 3 or 4 projects going at once. So last week I had 6 going. I finished the one, so that got us down to 5. The other one's hibernating, so that gets me down to 4. This one, we tried it on Captain Worm this weekend when we were camping and decided that it's gonna be done. I'm going to be doing the crown decreases and everything. This project also, because we were camping, so this came to camp with us. I also use this, it's a Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. Once you do the increases, it's just straight stockinette, if that's how you want to do it. And so I use this for bedtime reading. Like, I'll prop the book in front of me and I'll knit while I'm reading to my child. So this is how much got done. Do I have a measuring tape handy? Oh no, I thought I had one. Let me go find a measuring tape. Okay, I got the measuring tape. I thought this was in the yarn basket that's in front of me and it wasn't. So Captain Worm's hat got 2.5 inches done on it this week. So 2.5 inches done on Captain Worm's hat. My plans are, once I finish Captain Worm's hat, I'm going to use the leftovers. My child asked for gloves, so I'm gonna use the rest of this to make gloves for them. That is the current plan. So that is our second work in progress, Captain Worm's hat. Did I tell you what this is? It's the Mineville Wool Project fingering weight yarn, or sorry, sock weight yarn, in the colorway Lotus Garden. All right, project on the needles number 3 of 5 is the Rock It Tee by Tanis Lavallee. So this is the colorway Newsprint from KnitWise Fibers Floofy Fingering. This is actually, the local yarn store is having a knit along this summer, and this is for the knit along. We meet up on Saturdays, and this coming Saturday is the last day of the knit along. So we're gonna see what happens. I have made this pattern before and I changed it because that's what I do. I change patterns. I look at them and go, and sometimes it's I don't want to do the technique, or sometimes it's like there was one that when I finished it, the neckline was too big, so I adapted it and like re-knit it so it was not as big on me. So I did ribbing before. This time I decided to do it as written, so that's an I-cord bind off on the neck and the sleeves, and we did 4 inches of knitting. On my other one, I think the side seam is 12 inches total, so I am at 7 inches on this, so I've got another 5 to 7. I'm gonna say 5 to 7 inches because I don't remember if that measurement included the bottom ribbing that I did or not. So there's our Rock It Tee, and I've decided on this next project for it was our Darn Good Yarn one. I'm gonna show it to you. If it does end up being a gift and the person sees this, well, surprise, I love you. This week, I need to wind the yarn, but I am doing, I have adapted, I didn't write it down because I still wanted it to be secret when I did my notes. I've adapted I think it's the Mitered Crosses blanket by Gardiner, and the Sweet Shop blanket, and I don't remember who the Sweet Shop blanket is. This is what the Sweet Shop blanket looks like. So I've kind of looked at both of those two patterns and put them together. I'm using a size 9. I usually knit with sock weight yarn, and so like anything above a size 5 needle feels really big to me. So I'm going to be doing these squares and making like a house rug that you can put by your door. Or my child said if the person who we're making this for doesn't want it, they want the rug, and I told them no, I want it if the person doesn't want it. I also need to finish the square so I can weigh it and find out if I have enough to make the size that I want to make. Because if it ends up being a weird wonky size, I'm gonna give it to the child. So we're gonna go from here and we're gonna go out to the car for the car knitting for the week. All right, we're in the car now for the car knitting. Woo! Ooh, this basket. I feel like I need a jingle for car knitting. Anyway, this basket lives in the car and it always has a project in it. There are some rules to car knitting. One is that you don't knit while the car is in motion. So usually it's while I'm waiting for my child to finish at an extracurricular, or it goes from the car to like waiting rooms in the doctor's office and dentists and stuff like that. Rule number 2 is that it has to be like a no-brainer stockinette in the round type of a project. Socks, no, because you have DPNs that you have to keep track of. Well, sometimes socks. It's usually a hat or this project right now. So this project is the Advent 2020 scarf by Emma Carter. I'm using a Zodiac set. I think it was by Forbidden Fiber Arts, but I'm not positive. I don't remember. It's like 5 years old. It's probably one of the older yarns in my stash. So each skein was 40 grams, so we'll have a total of 240 grams in the scarf at the end of the project. A modification I did was I did a provisional cast on, so at the end I can graft the ends together and it will be an infinity scarf. Personally, I like the infinity scarf style. I feel like it's a lot easier to look good because you just loop and it just looks nice. So there's that. This again, I feel like it was an unusually heavy knitting week. Like a lot of knitting got done, and I'm gonna be really interested to see how this works out next week, like how much knitting I get done next week. So this is my marker that I put on a week ago, and we knit a good several inches. I did finish one of the mini skeins and start a new mini skein. One of the reasons I got so much knitting done on this was we went camping this weekend, and this was the camping knitting, so I had it with me. I was really excited when I finished the skein because that's a skein out of my stash. So again, car knitting, Advent 2020 scarf by Emma Carter. Okay, we're back from the car. Surprise! Magic! That car knitting, my child has an extracurricular on the same day that I have scheduled to make these videos, so the car knitting segment is going to be done while I am waiting for my child to finish their extracurricular, and that's where I get a lot of my knitting done, actually, is waiting for them to finish at their extracurriculars. I am allowed to knit while the car is in motion if I'm not driving. So that's another like nuance to that rule of no knitting while the car's in motion. So there we go. And that was a lot of knitting. I did not, like, I had hoped to get that skein done, but I didn't know if it was possible. And it was only possible because we were camping and I needed a project that was not white to be with me. And I also forgot, having said that, I also forgot to mention that I finished a skein and added in the new skein. I alternate rows when I add in a new skein, just in case there's a slight difference in colors based on, you know, dye lots or the nature of hand-dyed yarn and stuff. So this plus the car knitting moved 2 skeins out of stash, which gets our overall stash down to 52. So I am still well within my 50 skein goal for stash maintenance. I kind of have it in my head. I want to try to get to 0 stash, but I don't. So at this point, like where I did hit the 50 skein mark, I don't really have a solid goal other than just keep it at 50-ish. Speaking of goals for this week are Captain Worm's hat, because I have 4 active projects and that feels like too many for me. That's one of my arbitrary knitting rules or limits. So Captain Worm's hat has a couple of maybe 1 to 2 hours of knitting left on it, so My goal is to finish Captain Worm's hat this week during our bedtime reading, because that's primarily when I work on it. I'm actually going to move my marker so I can also see if I don't finish it, see how much knitting got done on it. Because like I said, I have no idea if all of the knitting I did this week is normal for me or not, or if it's like more than normal. Looking at it, it looks like a lot of knitting. So goal number 1, finish Captain Worm's hat. We're going to either set this aside or potentially cast on gloves next. If you watched last week's video, you know that almost every single yarn in my stash has a project planned. And so when it comes to project paralysis, it's not necessarily what do I make with this, it's which one do I want to do next. So we're gonna see. Second goal for the week is my Rocket tee. The knit along that I cast this on for and that I've been like going to the meetups for and stuff finishes this week. So the goal is for the Rocket tee to either be completely finished in time for the meetup or be finished to the point where I can do the last, you know, binding off hem stuff at the knit along meetup session, so it can be finished and I can wear it, and I will have another short sleeve like transitional season sweater. I don't have a lot of those. I have a lot of good winter sweaters. Having said that, I also live in the South, and so I have a couple of winter sweaters that don't get a lot of use because it doesn't get cold enough here. Like, it gets cold. I don't know. I do kind of have a goal-ish, an idea, I should say, of getting to the point where I have enough handmaids that work for year-round, that when we do these videos, what I'm wearing is something that I've made. The dress that I wore last week is a dress that I made several years ago. I'd have to look up what the pattern is because I don't remember. And if I finish this Rocket tee, that will only be my second short sleeve sweater, and it is too hot right now to wear a long sleeve sweater, and it's also usually too hot to even wear the short sleeve sweaters. So we'll work on that long term. But that's it. So 52 skeins of yarn, finish these 2 projects, figure out what to start next. I don't know what it's gonna be. It will be a surprise. So if you like surprises, come back next week. Again, if you guys have suggestions, like for video editing software, if you want to see the sewing in addition to the knitting, or the ultra marathon trail running stuff in addition to that, drop a comment below. And I will see you guys next week. Go out and have fun this week. Complete a side quest if you can. And we'll see you next time.